that means that the recording is going to have all this great conversation. I can edit it. But if you guys don't mind, I'll still have you present even though no one's on here. And then when I upload it to the website,
Yeah.
all your good information will still be there.
Yeah.
You're good with that?
Yeah. We're here. We're here. We
Yeah.
might as well.
You can present to me. So who would like to go first?
Well, since she's on the screen, she's more welcome to.
Okay.
You know, ladies first.
Nice.
You just don't want to talk first, do you, Quan?
Well, I thought this was in person, so I'm sitting across from her desk.
Well, I am from Cedar Ridge. I am the Director of Employment Services here at Cedar Ridge. We have traditionally been just kind of a provider for OD, DODD, JFS services for a long time. We have been doing employment services for as long as our company's been around, 12, 13 years, however long it's been. But in the last several years, we've been transitioning our employment services to kind of offer employment services to a broader range of our individuals. So we have been doing what we call employment-based case management I've been director for 5 years, so for about 6 years, we have been doing this. Over the last couple years, we've really upped our game with it. And what this entails is us really working with their traditional treatment team. So their clinical staff, their case managers, their TBS services, their therapists, if they're receiving psych services, the rest, them as well. And what this looks like is us tailoring an employment services plan specifically for these individuals that are coming through mental health, drug and alcohol services. So this kind of service comes traditionally at the end of their treatment journey. In the traditional sense of if they're coming to IOP, they're in IOPs for multiple days a week. They're getting very intensive services at the beginning. By time that they're really ready for employment services, they've kind of slowed down on groups. They've slowed down on coming to their therapist multiple times a week or just that one time a week. And we're kind of those integrating back into society steps that they are taking. So what this looks like is we get with the treatment team and we tailor a plan for each and every one of our clients that is very individualized. Not every client goes through the same services or receives the same services from us. It's very tailored to the specific individual. We found that this is very important because my path to reintegrating in back to society is very different than what anyone else's is. My triggers are different. My anxiety level is different. My treatment techniques are different. What works for me doesn't work for everyone. So how we've kind of developed this is we now have the addition of our employment labs. These employment labs are very controlled environment labs. They're set up like real world, think kind of vocational school areas. They are real life scenarios. Most of our labs are fully functioning state of Ohio registered businesses. So we have a cafe, we have a retail shop, we have a t-shirt shop, we have a flower shop. Those are our 4 main ones. So we are integrating them. We also have a hospitality lab that has hotel services. We have laundry, we have janitorial also in that hospitality lab. And then we have our office setting. So we have anything from being an office clerk to working the print area of an office, and then the mailroom. So those are all our very controlled environment labs that we have job coaches and employment specialists on staff every day. So no one is by themselves. They are learning vocational training. They all come in, they see all the labs, they pick the labs that work best for them or that they would be interested in. It also gives them a sense of pride knowing that I have all of this history and I have all of these things that have happened in the past. However, I can still choose where I want to work. I don't have to just go into food service. I don't have to just go into construction trades. They are getting all of these experiences and all of these different vocations. And then once they narrow it down to a vocation that they really are enjoying, we help them gain that experience and get certifications in that vocation. So within Cedar Ridge, we are a pretty large company, and to be able to place orders and do things internally. So a lot of our different departments send in t-shirt orders if they're ordering t-shirts for their staff. This past week, we had our detox facilities and our residential facilities placed orders for the mothers that they have on staff. So we made flowers for those mothers. A lot of our individuals or our therapists that are running groups, they are sending in orders through our print shop for the curriculums that they need printed. That way, you know, it's kind of saving them a step and that prep time so they can prep other things. So they are doing that as well. We have a lot of orders that come in that way. Also, like I said, we are open to the public. So anyone can walk off the street, walk into our cafe, order something. They're being met with a real life scenario because it is real life, but they are controlled in the fact that we have staff with them, talking them through every step, reminding them of their goals they've set with their therapists, goals that they're working on with their case managers. I tell the story all the time. When I became a job developer here at Cedar Ridge many, many years ago, one of my first clients and one of the first cases we worked in employment services with was a young lady. She was about 32, but she started using drugs when she was 15. So she had used for half of her life. And she was coming through the court system, and she was on probation, and she was at the point that probation was like, you have to go get a job. So she was sober for about 8-9 months, went out very easily, got a job at Burger King. I don't know. I always tell people, I don't know if anybody else has worked at Burger King in the middle of rush hour, but it gets very hectic in there in a fast food restaurant. Lights were going off, sirens were going off. There was people everywhere screaming and yelling. On her third day of work, she ended up getting very overwhelmed, and she just walked out of the kitchen. She burned up like $600 worth of food. They obviously fired her. So she was back in my office, and we were talking about employment services. And she told me, you know, I've spent my whole adult life, and 5 years before that, or 3 years before that, when I would get overwhelmed and I would get stressed out, I would use. So she was like, before that, any job I've ever had, if I was stressed out at work, I would take a break, I would leave, I would go to my car, I'd go into the bathroom, I would use, I would be fine, I would come back, I would be high, but I would still be there. And now, you know, I'm in therapy, I'm learning all of these things with my therapist. That's great. I'm great when I'm there, but I was in a situation where I couldn't remember what my next step was supposed to be because I was so overwhelmed. I just wanted to go get high. She was like, I left. But that's why I'm here. So what we wish we could have done before that is had put her in the labs, put her in a real life scenario, and had a job coach there walking her step by step through those techniques that her and her therapist have developed. And that's where kind of this idea came from. So that we can really hone in on, okay, let's think about what our therapists are teaching us. Let's remember the importance of not getting high while we're at work or in general. Let's kind of walk us through being able to maintain this employment situation. So, like I said, that's where kind of the labs were developed. They get a really real life scenario situations in there in a controlled environment that we are not going to let them fail. We're not going to let her burn up $500 worth of food. But they get to practice that. And then all of our labs are connected with a community partner. So one of our employer partners that we've worked with for many years, all of them have that aspect. So They get trained in our labs in a very safe, familiar, controlled environment, and we slowly integrate them into our work settings that we have in the community. So it's a very seamless transition. All of our employers that we work with, now they also can go to other employers as well. They don't have to just work with the people that we work with, but it gives them confidence that if they're still in a group or they still have these restrictions from probation, we help them and facilitate those conversations with these employers, and these employers understand that they have some background issues, they have some things that they're still working on. However, they have this support system that is built up around them, that if there are issues, let us know and we can come in and we can help fix those issues, or we can work on those issues. So our labs are kind of a way to encompass everything and to be able to walk individuals through their mental health and their drug and alcohol recovery journey. So that's kind of, and it's also good because our labs are also used for, we have contracts with schools, we have contracts with the OOD and DODD and JFS. So all of these individuals get to be in the labs and work together at the same time. It's very inclusive because we don't know who we're going to be working side by side when we go get a job in the community. I don't get to pick my coworkers. I don't get to just work with my peers and my friends and who I hang out with all the time. So someone who is going through mental health services, that's 54, might be in there with an individual that's going through the court system and they have drug and alcohol issues. And they might also be in there with a 16-year-old kid that's in high school that needs to learn some vocational skills. They might be in there with an individual with a disability who's learning vocational skills as well. So it's not tailored to just one sector of individuals. They all get to work together. They all get to share their experiences so that when they transition to work, that's another thing that they already kind of are familiar with. Because like I said, we don't get to pick our coworkers. So this also gives them opportunities to use all of those great tools that they're developing in therapy and things. So it's a very wraparound service. We have our labs in Guernsey County right now, but we are looking to expand those. Right now, we are helping transport our individuals that are in other counties to us, so they can take advantage of those. But our goal is we have in Belmont County, we are developing more labs. Their mental health and recovery board down there is kind of supported some of those transition efforts. So we are in the process of creating labs in our Belmont County office down there. And our goal is in Muskingum County to also get an area. That way we don't have to transport people in. If we have to transport people in, it takes away from the time that they're actually in the labs. If we have them in those counties, we don't have to worry about that as much. So we're kind of in the process of doing that as well. So I think I hit on a very small piece, but that's kind of what's going on at Cedar Ridge right now in employment.
That's excellent. Like, I am so excited about that stuff. I had a question. I wrote it down because that's what I do. So you talked about it being like very individually tailored, right?
Mhm.
So is that like in a treatment plan? Is that like,
Yep. So it is listed in their treatment plan. What happens is when someone gets referred to us in employment services, we meet with their treatment team and we have a lot of discussion and discussion with the individuals about their individualized employment plan. So we call it an IESP in employment services. It's just, but it's part of their treatment plan for traditional services as well. And like I said, that looks very different for you compared to me. It's just based off of my goals.
and once they completed it and they're employed, you follow them for a bit once they're employed?
Yep. So we, in our employment services, we have a follow along period of 90 days. So it's kind of, it tapers off. So once they hit what we consider stable, so stable is not needing someone to be in there with them. They're independently employed. We then the countdown starts. In the 30 days, we check on them once a week. In the 60 days, we check on them once every other week. And in the 90 days, there's like 2 meetings that we have, and we talk to them and their employer within those that last piece of their 90 days. So once we consider someone at a 90-day mark, they would be closed successfully from employment services. However, they have the option to be able to reopen their employment services case at any time. If they need it, then we just reopen it.
That was my other question. You answered every single one of my questions.
Well, good.
Where's the cafe and does it serve good coffee?
Yes, so we're actually in our Steubenville Avenue location that's a little up the road from our main office. So the 1131, we are it's that old City Hall building
Okay.
we had purchased. So all of our employment labs and our cafe are located there, and we actually partner with the Human Bean. So if you've had the Human Bean before, that is the coffee that we're serving. They are our employer partner for there. So we purchase their coffee. We don't have all of the fancy big machines like they do, but we do have, it's more about learning that lingo, about learning the kind of the measurements and things like that. But we are serving their coffee. And then the idea is they go right from us. They can go into their coffee shop and work for an amount of time, and they can either stay there or they go somewhere else. But yes, we serve the Human Bean coffee. I personally don't drink coffee. I'm a horrible person to advertise that. But I've heard good things. So yes, I've heard good things about their coffee.
And did you happen to make t-shirts that are for Mental Health Month that your staff will wear?
We do. We did. We actually took them to a lot of events because in employment services, we help do a lot of our events that our team does. So we went to a lot of career fairs and things like that for local schools. So we took a lot of mental health shirts out there. Yes, we do. We make t-shirts all the time. Everybody wants a t-shirt for something. So we're trying. I'm not a t-shirt designer, but our individuals that are in the labs and choose that, they have really great ideas. And it's really like a true experience, when you would go back and forth with a t-shirt shop, this is what I'm thinking. Can you give me a mock-up? We mock it up. They go back and forth. So it's a true experience. I call everybody my kiddo. They could be
I understand.
65 and in there, but they're still my kids. The kids really enjoy doing that. And like I said, it's a real experience where they're going back and forth with the customer. It's not me, it's not my job coaches, it's not their job developer or their employment specialist. It's them. They are doing that customer service piece. So they get to build that confidence with that too. So they are a lot better at designing shirts than I am.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, well, I just asked because Thursday is Be Seen in Green Day,
Yeah.
for it's Mental Health Action Day. So my favorite picture I got last year for it was actually from Cedar Ridge, their staff. They sent me the best picture. It was fantastic. So I keep saying, need to live up to it. I need another good one.
Right. Okay. I'll make sure everyone knows we got to get our good shirts out.
Yeah, send me a good picture on Thursday.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you, Megan. I appreciate all that information.
No problem.
Good stuff.
We do work, Quan gets to see our kind of employment specialist. We have one based in, well, he's not really based in. He works with Forever Dads as well. So we're doing some employment services in there. So Quan gets to see him. There's a lot of different moving pieces than employment services other than the employment labs. Those are probably our biggest thing that's happening right now. But we do provide just that resume, the job searching, filling out an application correctly, how to answer interview questions, help with transportation, those types of things as well. That's all part of our traditional employment-based case management that we do. And those people are typically the individuals that don't necessarily need as intensive services as the labs, but they still just need a little bit of help, a little bit of push, a little bit of polishing up is what we sometimes call it. They don't need full-fledged employment labs, but a little polishing never hurt.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Thank you. All right,
You're
we're
welcome.
gonna switch seats.
Okay.
Okay, so that you can now be recorded. And then, you know how to share your PowerPoint and everything, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see.
You can see.
If not, I'll just go off.
All right.
Let's share. All right. Megan, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Begin to presentation mode. Okay, so my name is Quan Mel. I'm with Project Ready, and I am the program manager. And what Project Ready is a reentry service for those mainly for who are transitioning out of jail or prison and re-entering back into the Muskingum, Perry, and Morgan County communities. If someone has a background and they are trying to do better, then I will still work with them to some extent and try to see what barriers they're facing and overcoming. So our mission is, the mission of Project Ready is to build a stronger, safer, and more productive community and reduce recidivism by improving the quality of life of our returning citizens through a collaborative effort of case management, services, and resources. You know, if we can help them overcome their barriers and become contributing members of society, we're helping the rest of society as well. Crime rates will go down. Hopefully, economy starts, going up, and it's a chain effect for it. So these two graphs are kind of just a snapshot, so you can see numbers. The graph on the left is the amount of Ohio residents who are currently locked up and where. So state prisons hold 45,000 individuals. Local jails is 19,000. Federal prisons is 4,600, and youth is 1,700. So the difference between the graph on the left and the graph on the right is one giant number, and that is, well, if you combine probation and parole, that's over 200,000 individuals who are not incarcerated, but they are still under parole or probation, meaning one wrong move, and they can easily go back into the jail and prison systems. There's 150,000 different people who are booked into local jail each year. So even though only 19,000 are currently considered in jail, that number is actually 150,000 different ones who come through those doors every day for a year. And then 416,469 individuals are released from jail and prison each year. And these are individual people. 314,000 are men, 102,000 are women. And to think about that number is based off of a year. That's just such a huge number. For the state of Ohio, they base recidivism off of a 3-year cycle almost. So in 2024, the recidivism rate for Ohio was 37.7%. So that means 1 in 3 people being released out of jail and prison will reoffend. That number currently has went down to 32.7, so it's down a little bit. But that still averages out to be 1 in 3 offenders will become repeat. In rural counties, that number is over 50% for the state of Ohio. Ohio is currently ranked 32 out of the 80 counties in Ohio. Is that 88 counties in Ohio? So we are doing better than what we were for Muskingum County, or sorry, not out of the counties. The state of Ohio, out of the 50 states, is ranked 32nd. So we're right in the middle. There's a bunch that have the lower numbers. What they're finding is rural areas have a higher recidivism rate than what inner cities do, because there's more resources when you have, higher populations. The number I had found for Muskingum County was pretty similar to the state's rate percentage, but Morgan County was 47.4%. And their population is,
13,000.
yeah, way less than what our county is, 60,000, I believe, or right around there. So to think about that number, that they have that many people, that's almost 1 in 2. So, and then 70%. That number, so it says, can you guess what 70% is? 70% is the recidivism rate in 5 years. So in 5 years of being released, almost 3 out of 4 people will become repeat offenders. So why is that? Typically, you're no longer on probation or parole. You no longer have that instant want to do better attitude, and a lot changes in 5 years. So to think about how much higher that number is in 5 years, what does 10 years look like? And I would almost go to suggest that 10-year mark is probably 80%. Because for a lot of the individuals, it becomes a way of life. Because, the good work that they're doing at Cedar Ridge Employment Services, most of our clients, the 2 barriers that they're facing above all else is employment and housing. And if we can't get them, a legitimate earning, job where they can earn and provide for their families, most of them are going to go back to doing what they did that provided for their families. Amongst other issues like substance abuse and mental health and things like that as well. So yeah, that number is way higher even at the 5-year mark. Our kind of goal or plan is broken down into these steps. It's acknowledge the situation. So when a client comes in, I always try to figure out what barriers that they're facing right then and ones that they think that they're going to be facing. So for ones who are coming out of CRC, CTC, even getting out of jail and prison that I meet with prior to them getting out, we try to address the ones that they are facing, they're going to be facing, because it is, a new world. Some of these clients have been in 20, 30 years. The world we're used to is completely different than the ones when they had went in and got incarcerated. Or they're finally ready to turn over that leaf and they want to do better. So some of them are going to new areas just to get away from that old life. So it's figuring out the barriers that they're facing. The next is commit to change. When we have a client, I kind of do an evaluation with them and to see their progress. One of the first things I tell them is I will not work harder than what you're working. Most of them respond extremely well to that. They want to, most of them are to the point where they want to do better. So that's pretty easy. The next is accept support. Most of these clients do not trust the system, let alone agencies who are, who say they're out there to help, because they've went through all this in the past, probably 3, 4, 5 times, and they've kind of been either left, forgotten about, told there's nothing that can be done to help. They've put in more applications than they can count. They've put in more housing applications than they count, and they've never heard nothing back, or they're told, you have a background, we can't help you. So getting them to trust me, and then in turn trust the agencies that we're working with, is one of the hardest barriers that we face as well. Next is utilizing the resources. So that comes into the different agencies we work with, like the board, Cedar Ridge, Care and Recovery, all those different places, having those connections where we can do a soft handoff with them, but have me right there to be able to walk with them as well. Next is participate in the program. I tell them I'm not your parent, I'm not your case manager. You know, I am someone to walk alongside of you, but you have to have skin in the game and be willing to do what it takes to grow and, you know, become a successful member. And then the last is achieve success. Most of our clients do pretty well. We've had some who have returned back to jail and prison. Not necessarily prison, but have returned back to jail pending and possibly going back to prison. But I would say the majority of them are trying to do better right now. What is Project Ready doing? We are partnering with area agencies to help our returning citizens with the barriers each of them are facing. With the active clients we've helped with housing, employment searching, car repairs, getting them interview attire, just getting clothing in general. We've helped with rent assistance, background checks for apartments, birth certificates, vehicle registration, gas cards. One that I haven't put on here that we helped with is fines and reinstatement fees. It's one that no other agency helps with. One of the requirements I have for the clients is they cover half and I cover half. Most of them I also get to do some type of community service or volunteer at like the Salvation Army in their soup kitchens or helping with just like building maintenance, things like that. Because once again, if you can ask for help, you can give help. So it gives them some skin in the game as well. And we've had some cover the half, and now they are driving legally. We've helped with SR22 bonds as well. The different things it took to get their license back, because unfortunately they've went through all these things. They have all the court fines, and then they've gotten their license stripped away because they owe court fines. So we've been working towards that as well. And really the area agencies partnering with them is such a huge resource. Like 3 or 4 of my clients have went through, we've got hooked up with the Salvation Army to cover their first month's rent deposit for the housing. Working with like the new apartment complex, the Woda Cooper group, has been great because they've been able to, they do accept people with backgrounds, and we've been able to work hand in hand with getting the things needed for those. So the area agencies is what makes it all possible. We also do a reentry coalition the second Wednesday of every month, which is actually going to be tomorrow. The locations change. Tomorrow will actually be at Forever Dads, and that's 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And you can attend via Teams or in person. We'd love to have you. And then here's my contact information, my cell phone, personal cell phone, and emails. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was good information. Very good. And we'll switch. Switch. Well, again, I thank you both so much for coming today and talking to me, educating me. I'm going to put this on our website and so people will see it, but yeah,
That's
again,
good in itself.
yeah. So, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll see each other.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Hey, and Brett has been awesome. Just
Good.
FYI.
Good. I'd like to hear that.
That's their guy at our building.
That works with you.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
You guys too. Bye.